So welcome everyone to the PGE Demo Day. So of course, half of this is about PGE, and the other half of this is about the Demo Day. So in other words, about classical incubation, how do we actually help founders to be able to start companies? So that is what you can expect for today, and that is most certainly what this day is going to be about. It's also very much going to be a celebration. We have had a cohort that is working very hard for, basically 10 weeks on taking, the very kernel of business ideas and really trying to develop them in a post-growth and degrowth friendly way, creating financially non-extractive businesses. So with that, I am going to just get started with the deck. So, all right, what is PGE incubation? Well, the way that I see it really is, it's a revolution, right? Because the point is that we know that there's a lot that's wrong with the world of business. It's not necessarily producing the kinds of companies that we want. We're getting platform monopolies, with some of the big tech companies. We also have, we're just seeing that society is getting increasingly divided. Our environment is getting increasingly corroded. And, we feel sometimes a bit hopeless, but we don't understand how to make things better. So I think the whole thing really starts with understanding what the alternative looks like, because it's super easy to feel bad and to be negative, but it's a whole nother thing when we're, actually understanding that, yes, there's tools that are available for us for change. And of course, first, just being able to imagine what the solution looks like, is the first step. That gives us really a handle, then to be able to take actual concrete steps in order to build it. So I think it all starts with just thinking about how we conceptualize of business in general. So pardon me for those of you who have heard my TED Talk already, but one of the things that I really like to emphasize is that business is one of the most effective forms of activism. So in other words, we can be the change that we want to see in the world, and business is an incredibly powerful vehicle for realizing this. Similarly, business can be a mixed media for art. Business also can be a form of spirituality and even a form of creative expression. Now, of course, this is not usually how we conceptualize of business. Most of the time, we tend to think that business is actually meant for maximizing shareholder returns. At least that's what we believe, right? I mean, this is what we've been told. But it fundamentally does not have to be this way. So if you consider, for example, things like business as spirituality, I mean, it sounds all a bit woo-woo, but perhaps it's actually not really as crazy as we think. I mean, I think it actually all really starts with the concept of usury. So in other words, financial extraction. So when we talk about concepts like post-growth and degrowth, sometimes we find it a little bit difficult to translate into business, right? I mean, particularly degrowth. I mean, people think that business and degrowth is some kind of contradiction of terms. And yet, if you consider growth, actually, what is this growth? Why does this growth need to happen, right? And if you consider the work of some of these post-growth economists, they like Kate Raworth, Tim Jackson, they will explain to you that the economy must continue growing. The GDP always has to be up and to the right, precisely because there's so much financial extraction happening from the economy that we need to continue growing just to maintain a steady state. So this, of course, begs the question of, okay, great, but if we want to then build a post-growth or even degrowth economy, how is it then that we can actually have a flat economy and still be okay? Or even perhaps have a declining economy and still be okay. And this is not a hypothetical question. Every time we are in a recession, we are in an economy that's declining, and thus understanding how to prosper in an economy that is declining is actually quite a relevant and timely question. It starts with with eliminating the financial extraction from the economy, because the financial extraction is the root cause for the need of never-ending growth. So, and another thing is coming back to spirituality. In a way, this usury, this financial extraction, is the original sin of business and finance. Because business in and of itself is a fairly neutral concept. It's just a group of people that are getting together to get something done, and particularly in a financially self-sustaining way. That's it, And basically, business doesn't have to have a greater meaning than that. The extra layer of neoliberalistic baggage that has gone on top of this is completely optional. This whole interpretation of fiduciary responsibility as, maximizing for shareholder returns, this is not some fundamental thing that needs to be. It's just been, since Milton Friedman and it's precedent, it's standard how we're doing things, but it fundamentally also can change. So, and then considering again the question of like, how do you get then this usury out of business and finance? An example that I find super inspirational is Islamic finance. And I'm not sure if you all are familiar with the concept of Islamic finance, but it's actually in Islam sinful to have extractive and harmful interest-bearing loans. In other words, using money to breed more money, and frequently at the expense of other people. Also, in other major world religions, they approach it in the same way. In Christianity, you have the parable of Jesus and the money lenders, and how he got really pissed and threw them out of the temple district because they were using money to breed more money. Same thing, with Judaism. Also in Buddhism, you have Buddhist economics. I swear to you, it's a thing. Google it. And also considering that, of course, also work is one of the Noble Eightfold Paths in Buddhism as well. So why is it so crazy then that work and that business also is a spiritual issue? But the problem is, I think, is that we are not teaching people this way in business schools. So, basically, what we need to do is we need to kind of use this as a starting point in our incubators and also in our business schools. And just so we can get people to understand that business is something that should be approached from a very personal point of view, a very personal perspective, right? As opposed to just thinking about, how can I just make money off the market? So, and that brings us then to what I would call the definition of PGE. And I think the emphasis of post-growth entrepreneurship is that it is the practice of creating and running financially non-extractive businesses. So what does this even mean? And how do you even build a financially non-extractive business? So the way that typically it would work is that we harness, entity forms and constructions that we have available to us. Sadly, there is no 100% financially non-extractive entity form out there. I would absolutely love it if one existed, and we should by all means lobby for it. But until then, it means we basically have to DIY it, right? With the entity forms that already exist and contract law. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put asset locks on our company to basically lock the financial value of the company inside the company, with the idea that we're taking a systems thinking perspective to change. Because with systems thinking, you can basically go sort of mopping up the symptoms, right, and the problems. Like, for example, with garbage collection, I mean, you can go and pick up pieces of trash while you're walking around the city. But it's, first of all, it's a bit of a thankless and tiring task. And second of all, people are just going to continue throwing things on the ground. So, I mean, it's a Band-Aid, but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem. You could then start going one layer deeper and saying, well, maybe all this trash is on the ground because there isn't a garbage can nearby. I mean, that could be one thing. So then you install a garbage can, but then suddenly the garbage can is overflowing, and you discover that actually didn't completely solve your problem either. And then you start asking one question deeper, like, well, actually, but like, where is all this trash coming from in the first place? And then you would start looking at manufacturing and really, starting to, try and get at the core, really at the origins of the problem. And that's it. I mean, it's basically looking for the leverage points in the systems. And this is like pure Donella Meadows, who I think is sort of the mother of systems thinking. And that's what we're trying to do in PGE, because the idea is that the incentives basically cause larger organic emergent results. And that's it. So what we're looking at really is fixing the incentive structures. So, and by eliminating the financial extraction, what we're hoping is that it then eliminates the perverse incentives for businesses to externalize costs onto society and onto the environment. It's kind of like if we consider ESG, environmental, social, and governance aspects. The E is super popular these days, in social enterprise as well as in social finance. It's fairly easy to measure, but the problem is it's also somewhat easy to greenwash with. It's the same thing with the S, with basically society. We all understand how poverty is bad, but at the same time, it's also easy to give 10% of your profits, to poverty alleviation, but still have a harmful, toxic business model. But the G is like the dust that's swept under the rug. It is really, and very few people actually want to touch the G. And yet the G, this governance piece, is the root cause, while the E and the S are symptoms. And basically, if we can fix the governance of companies and also in the finance industry, then the E and the S kind of come along for the ride. And that's the whole systems thinking idea, that we're really laser focusing on the G, with the hope that if we can fix the basically promote good and non-extractive governance in both companies as well as in financial institutions, then the only purpose for being that is left over for any of these, either companies or investment vehicles is basically whatever product or service that they're offering that society values enough that is willing to pay something for it. And that's basically it. And by eliminating financial extraction then from businesses, the whole idea is that you can turn any business, no matter how mundane, into a social enterprise, whether or not it has something to do with the SDGs or not. So this is really the whole basis of post-growth entrepreneurship. So basically breaking it down then into three steps. Kind of the three parts of PGE are bootstrapping, flat growth, and non-extraction. So this is in contrast to the Silicon Valley model of business incubation, which tends to be capital, scale, exit, right? We all know this, right? Get your investors, do a hockey stick, right? And then exit. And the problem, of course, with this standard model, first of all, is that the exit, basically selling out, is our definition of success. And also it's that exit where the financial extraction happens. The scaling, just the sheer nature of an exponential curve dictates that you cannot do it for very long. Which is, mathematically speaking, it is not possible. So basically, also the other myth that we tend to have in incubation is that we need investors to start a company. But if you also consider the fact that the startup ecosystem, in Silicon Valley itself is what, like probably 40 years old, not much older. How did we start businesses before venture capitalists existed, right? I mean, 50 years ago, I mean, maybe people had launching customers. Maybe they did get a bank loan, or maybe had some family friends or fools, but they certainly were not getting drops of 100 million from SoftBank. It just didn't happen back in those days. So really the whole idea is that, sort of going back to the basis, if you have a company that can bootstrap, then we very greatly encourage you to do so. Of course, I immediately hear all the protests. Oh, but you can't bootstrap everything. Of course, I understand you can't bootstrap everything, but you can, if you're with some kinds of product companies, be able to bootstrap, develop R&D on products via the sale of services. And then for anything that's far more capital intensive, because people then typically also say, yes, but what about a power plant? You can't bootstrap a power plant. And indeed, this is true. But most of the time there's government funding involved, which I think is also a different situation entirely. And then you start getting into the whole Mariana Mazzucato dilemma of the fact that the government is the world's largest venture capitalist, and we're socializing the costs and privatizing the benefits. The funny part about this actually is the way then that companies can try and get this situation a little bit under control is with mechanisms like golden shares. I can give you an example. There was a cybersecurity company in the Netherlands that was very much embedded in Dutch big business, defense, national infrastructure. They wound up getting acquired by another company from the UK. Everyone universally started freaking out just because, oh no, our data is going to the British. And at a certain point, there was another startup from that also sold similar monitoring boxes. They also got venture capital, scaled exponentially, and exited. And then at that point, 2 years later, I read the press release. Congratulations to this other startup. They just got acquired by the Romanians. Of course, the government at this point and big business was frustrated because, we kept having this problem. And did we ever learn? And it turned out that the Dutch government did learn. The mechanism that they used in the future was starting to require any Dutch cybersecurity company that was involved with national critical Dutch infrastructure to actually give a golden share to the government to prevent the company from being sold to foreign entities. Which is quite interesting because actually that governance problem was solved by a golden share. And that's also kind of funny because frequently that is a core key element of what we would call steward ownership. So the whole idea then with implementing this kind of non-extraction is in our companies is that we rely heavily on a lot of the ideas from steward ownership, things like nonprofit entity forms like foundation ownership, asset locks, golden shares, also writing your purpose into your statutes, these kinds of tools. We still don't have a perfect legal mechanism yet for locking things down as much as I would like. It's going to remain a cat and mouse game, but we need to understand this is ongoing research. And the only way we can even conduct this research is by actually building things. In other words, creating flesh and blood companies that can practice non-extractive principles, and then we can see where it goes wrong and then iterate in an attempt to fix it, right? But that means we have to start these companies. And in order to start these companies, we need some kind of mechanism to be able to give them a supportive community, to be able to give them the handbook for how to do it, to be able to teach them, to give them the business templates, right? Thus, enter PGE incubation. Because we can build this post-growth economy one startup at a time. And this is what we're attempting to do here with this post-growth entrepreneurship incubator. And of course, we also hope that we'll be able to inspire others to do the same. For the non-bootstrappable things, and coming again back to that whole Mariana Mazzucato problem, we also have another line of work called non-extractive finance, which is very much related. And this is basically also applying non-extraction and steward ownership to investment. And because, of course, if we were to want to fund, projects of different kinds, but then in a way that we're not inadvertently creating a 1%, The way that we would have to do so is by using, again, nonprofit entity forms, golden shares, and also reforming fee structures, which is a particular thing for finance. Typically, there's something called the 220. I'm not going to explain it now because I don't have enough time. But what I can say is these fees, fund managers basically live off these fees. Now, the 220, this 20%, it's something called carried interest. So if I'm a VC and if my company grows exponentially and exits, I get 20% of that, which is a super powerful motivator for a VC to push their portfolio company to grow exponentially and exit. In other words, you can say that this 20% carried interest embeds the growth imperative into startups. If you want to get rid of it, get rid of the growth imperative, then it's actually just as simple as altering the fee structure. Anyway, I'm not giving a talk about this today, but I just at least want to lay it on the table. This is also part of what we're teaching, and we're also trying to help fund managers also to be able to create non-extractive funds as well, also to move us towards a post-growth and a degrowth economy. So beyond the whole incubation process, we've also created a class in the business school at the University of Amsterdam that we launched to 120 third-year bachelor students somewhat recently. We also have been running well, this is basically the 4th year of the program now. The very first one was physical in-person before the pandemic on the Dutch island of Terschelling. And of course, after the pandemic, we started moving them online. So we now have had, this is our 3rd cohort of the PGE Incubator. This is a photo from the previous cohort. And all of you today are going to meet these cohort members, and I hope they will inspire you. Because the whole idea, and I hope what the outcome is of today, is that we can all consider how we can reinvent the startup ecosystem together. All right. And with that, we are going to go to the cohort presentations. So the way that this is going to work is that we have 2 parallel tracks, track 1 and track 2. I will be moderating track 1, and Hannah will be moderating track 2. So we have 6 startup founders in each of these 2 tracks, and I'm just very quickly going to give a quick description of who they are and what they're working on. So we have Anna, who is working on basically fair trade jewelry in Peru. We have Laure, who's a kind of ICT consultant from the West Coast of the United States. We have Wani, who is doing work with kind of Eastern spiritual tradition, but also trying to integrate this into business. And she's based out of the Netherlands. We also have David, who is the founder of 9 Billion Presidents, and he's also creating a community that is also trying to promote non-extractive businesses that also donate 100% of their profits to charity. Siva has started the Map of Vita, which is a company that is building an IT platform to help those looking to follow their spiritual path. And we have Ramona, who is from Lebanon, and she's part of the Other Dada, and they are basically a company that has done architecture and reforestation. And they've done quite some number of projects, and right now they're looking at green roofs and things like that. In track 2, we're starting with Alice with Hoven here. She is based out of the Netherlands, and she's basically trying to fight urban warming through helping to match gardeners with gardens. We have Suparna, who is basically combating loneliness, and she's also based out of the West Coast of the UK. We have Susan from Uganda, who is basically, she's founded The Fireplace, and she's also creating programs to help educate women in rural Ugandan villages. We've got Natalie, who is the founder of Soulfully Rich, and her husband Joey are working on applying basically, holistic wellness and spirituality to concepts like HR and recruiting. We have Svetoslav, who is trying to bring PGE incubation to Bulgaria. And we have Lena and Marcelo, who are going to be talking about architecture and how to create not-for-profit community spaces that reinvest the profits in those communities locally. So now you know who these cohort members are. Of course, it's far better when they explain it for themselves, and they're going to go into far more detail. You can go back and forth between these two tracks if you like. Stephen will be remaining in the main track, and if you want to leave at any time, just exit the room. Stephen will help you to re-enter the room. So basically, this is going to be the two tracks. We're going to get started with this momentarily. And after the cohort presentations are over, then we're going to also have some generic Q&A also just about the program in general. But there will be some QA embedded after the presentations of the cohort members, so you can also ask them some questions about their startups. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I believe that Hannah is creating the breakout rooms. So I'm going to be in track 1, and I will see you all in one of these two tracks. Okay, so we're going to get started with Anna. So perhaps, Anna, if you could get started with sharing your slide deck.
Okay, I'll get started here. Great to meet everybody. I'm Anna, presenting Inelena Artisan Connection. Inelena is my blend of the two worlds I live in, my home in the US and my old home and my new home in Iquitos, Peru, which is where I currently live and work. So Inelena brings these two worlds together. I'm excited to share in what ways. Inelena connects women makers in the Peruvian Amazon in Iquitos, Peru, where I am right now, with groups of women in the United States who are interested in doing two things for them: helping break the cycles of poverty in their lives, and who love beautiful objects. So you can see behind her the chambira fiber, which is a locally sourced fiber here in Peru. And circles of women often sit together and do weaving of chambira fiber to make different kinds of products. So I want to share a little bit about the story behind this. This is my friend Emma Tapawima. She's a Kukama woman who lives in not too far from where I live, about 3 hours from my house in Peru. She's the female leader of her community, and it happens to be the only community in Peru, to my knowledge, with a conservation area. She is a trailblazer. She is a friend, and we've been having conversations for the past 2 years about her crafts that she makes by hand with her own daughters and her own family. She came to me and said, Anna, I am frustrated because I still don't have access to these markets. There are so many people who'd like to buy this, and I cannot. Literally in her home, there are piles of artisan crafts that are not being sold. She also mentioned a second concern to me, which is that the skill level of a lot of the women, while this braiding of this chambira fiber, which I'll share in a minute, is ancient, they want to learn new skills and develop it, and they want access to markets. So this conversation took place between her and I, and we had a chance to it really helped me understand her frustrations and concerns with this. So Inelena was born of this friendship, her and I together as co-founders. She's my co-founder and my friend. So this is chambira fiber. These are these gigantic palm trees that grow all throughout the region. They're locally sourced, they're sustainable, and they're basically dried. The leaves are dried, and to form these, and then they're able to be turned into things like this, the earrings that I'm wearing. Iquitos, you can see on the map here, is way up in the corner in the Peruvian Amazon, not too far from the Brazilian and Colombian borders. So my positioning in terms of being someone from the US, but actually being geographically located here, brings these two things together really nicely. So the idea, just to say this again, behind Inelena is there are groups of women within the United States who want to support other women in other countries. They want to support their crafts. They want to have beautiful items. They want to help them leave cycles of poverty. And then they're creators of women, they're groups of women who want to do the same for their own lives. So our work is to bring these two worlds together. And my position in living in Peru and being from the US uniquely positions me to bring them together. So what happens? We sell these products online, right now predominantly earrings. I have a few pictures I can share. It funds three different things. For the makers themselves, they obviously get an income from these purchases, which breaks the cycle of poverty for them, which is essential. So that's the first and most important thing that we do, like any good fair trade entity. The second thing that we do is we are responding to Emma's request by offering more specified and kind of higher, let's say more advanced skills training in making these products. The third thing that we offer for all of our participants from the money that we make are life skills workshops. So each woman able to define for her own life what her objective is and helping her orient her life around that. That's offered to all of our participants. So more than just an income and skills, it's that as well. Our idea after this is we want to expand this to further communities to work with youth, but first we're focusing on a few communities with women. Here are a few of our products. Here's me modeling several of our products. These earrings are really beautiful. They're interesting. They're intricate. And we also offer things like purses, different kinds of earrings here. So what I am looking for is I'd love to brainstorm with folks. I'd love to have people share their ideas with me. In particular, looking for contacts within the fair trade world that can be within the US or the West, or in low and middle income countries. I just want to get roots out everywhere and communication happening everywhere. And I'd love for anyone who who has contacts in terms of socially minded businesses, in particular that have been successful, that are bringing these sort of entities together, groups of people in different countries in sort of a cooperative shared space of care.
Hi, I'm Laura Cast, and I'm here to share with you about Changemaker product management, coaching, and strategy. So just raise your hand if you're here because you care about creating a more sustainable world. Love you. Excellent. In PGE, we learned that nonprofits are already a really big part of the economy, and that we see more nonprofits are building technology and products. But we also learned that 90% or more of startups fail, and nonprofits who are building products have the same struggles. We at Changemaker help you build products that change people's lives. So one thing that's really important to know about our products is that we don't get to decide whether our products matter. That choice is entirely based on the people who we serve. Marty Kagan, who's kind of like a product guru from the Silicon Valley world, talks about 4 big product risks. And at Changemaker, we primarily focus on the 2 biggest risks, which are viability, whether what you're building actually matters to your organizational goals, and then value. Do people actually care about what you are offering? Here's me actually at a training that Marty did, the only training in North America for product coaches last year. So how do we do this? Well, we put people first on every level of the training. So when we work with companies, we use a very holistic approach to help product teams develop these skills. So we teach interviewing, discovery, mapping, helping get alignment in the organization, prototyping, testing, how to do measurement in a holistic way, how to focus on outcomes and collaboration, and then also really about who's in the room. So who's in the room from the builder side and who's in the room, and how do we build alongside the people that we serve and make sure that we have the right people, including folks on the margins in this process. So I'll tell you a little bit about us. B. Piggles Minor has been producing products that shift culture for over a decade, including at Apple and Netflix. They have received numerous accolades, including being named a 40 under 40 by Silicon Valley Business Journal. They have an MBA and MIS from Northwestern, and they also host a really awesome podcast called The Drops. Bee is a captivating speaker, fierce diversity advocate, and a thought leader on product and culture development. And they love building community, promoting diversity in tech, and contributing to nonprofit organizations like Howard Brown Health and YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago, where they're on the board of directors. Natasha Awasthi is a product leader with over 15 years of experience who has led product organizations in highly regulated, high-risk, complex healthcare and aerospace industries, as well as at strappy startups. She helps teams develop a shared knowledge and rituals to harness qualitative and quantitative data that deliver outcomes consistently. And Natasha has an MBA from Wharton and an MS in statistics from the University of Delhi. And then there's me. I'm a curious entrepreneur, researcher, and strategist, and I have over a decade of product leadership experience. I've helped companies from startups to multinationals implement product discovery. My framework, Motives to be Met, helps companies de-risk demand and focus on building products and features people care about. And I also have extensive experience in the world of responsible tech. So I'm a member of the Integrity Institute. I'm on the board of directors of Pro-Social Design Network. I'm a steward of the Collaborative Technology Alliance, a member of Aspen Institute's Virtually Human Working Group, and I also mentor with All Tech is Human and Mentor Me Collective. I organized a meetup here called Product Tank, PDX, and I'm also a top contributor to Lenny Rashitsky's Community Wisdom newsletter, which is the top business newsletter in Substack. And then I'll also just share a little bit about my process coming in. My core purpose is really around communities of practice. And so I began this program of PGE Incubator with a startup to support communities, which is called Fractals. And I'm still trying to figure out, the way that this all works with funding. So I'm really interested in talking to folks about that or about our consulting services, and I'd love to connect with you. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. So does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
Well, I would like to ask a question to you, Laura. Thanks for your presentation. I wrote it down in the forum as well. Sorry about my voice, by the way. Yesterday it was completely gone, so now I've got a little bit. So I hope you guys hear me. I like the way you center this community-based approach. That working together is about working together, just togetherness. So I'd be curious to know, could you give me an example of how you do that?
I think I can. So I don't know if a community, I have a lot of thoughts about communities. I won't get into that rabbit hole with you too much. But what I'll say about our approach is that it's really focusing on learning from people who might use the product that we create. So it's getting into deep conversation and relation with folks who are building or who are going to be served, or I don't even like that term exactly, but who are in our collaboration with us in making the product, right? So we don't have a product that we're just like paternalistically saying, hey, you should use this. We also don't have like our own vision and brain being like, this is what the world needs. We're actually coming from understanding what do people, what are their needs? How do they want the problem to be solved? I don't know if that helped, but hopefully.
Thanks, Laura. All right. With that, we're going to move on to our next speaker, Wani. Wani, could you perhaps share your slides?
Hello, everyone. My name is Wani Chon. I'm the founder of Spirited at Work. Welcome to home, actually. This planet we call Earth is our home, where everything is interdependent and interconnected. The air we breathe, the water, the land, the trees, plants, animals, humans, and so on. In my career, I've worked actually in many different organizations: banking, government, non-government, profit, non-profit, and so on. And I've seen a lot of disengagement and disconnection and separation going on, and a lot of working in silos. And I was wondering, like, how can we connect and engage and unite all stakeholders across disciplines and harness the collective intelligence and the holistic procreative mindset? How can business, academia, government, and social entrepreneurs and citizens meet each other? During my experience and learning, this is what I came up with: a holistic, open mindset education, home, with at its core well-being and self-care, with the design principles of the IDG, the Inner Development Goals, PGE principles, the donut economy principles, and the behavior change model principles. With that, also the governance process tools of sociocracy and the communication process tool of nonviolent communication to create emotional awareness. My experience in well-being and self-care is that I am an Eden method practitioner. This is related to traditional Chinese medicine. I'm also a Tibetan medicine counselor, where we look at Western and Eastern psychology. And I'm also a shamanic practitioner. So there's a lot of ancient wisdom traditions, knowledge about managing energy and stress, how that relates to the physical body, our emotions, our mental, and our spiritual and soulful health, basically. Well-being is actually at the center of our lives. I'm also a co-creator for the IDG, for the Inner Development Goals. At the moment, this is in support of the SDGs. They're doing a survey at the moment to reach 2 million people to ask the question, what is the quality we need to build a sustainable future? And I think it's very important to ask that question, because we overlook that. What are the real true skills we need? The principles of PG has already been Melanie has already talked about those. Basically, non-financial extractive businesses and the donut economy, most of you will know about, is about designing within the planetary boundaries. A case study that I did for a behavior change study with the Radboud University scientist was actually a Tibetan medicine center that was created in Estonia. They had bought a 150-year-old building, and due to Corona, there was not much engagement actually. And as you can see, the whole building needs a lot of refurbishment. So what I did was look at psychological factors that influence the desired behavior, basically, the positive and negative factors, and what are interventions that could be done actually to create more engagement. And together with the architect, she created actually these illustrations to show what it could look like once everything was established. And with the events that we created, we were able to actually raise 25,000 euros, and that resulted in creating a new roof for the building. At the moment, they're still doing a lot of events and things going on, so that's working pretty well. As I've been looking to what social entrepreneurs need and also what people need in skills, I came across Sociocracy for All. I'm in the facilitator training for this, and I found this to be the most inclusive way of governing, where all voices matter and are heard, where there's a feeling of belonging and trust that is created over time. And I think this is very important in how we govern our organizations. And the element of nonviolent communication is also very crucial in the way that how language and communication skills strengthen our ability actually to remain human, even in the trying conditions that we have. I'm a board member of 1 Million Leaders Africa. Together with Susan Joy, I have created a 6-week training for 1 Million Leaders Africa. This is a pilot project for Next Leaders Initiative, a Japanese nonprofit. And we have actually trained about 50 fellows this year in nonviolent communication training. So coming based on all of my experiences and learning, this is what I came up with that I think will help our future leaders develop themselves, how they can create more and better sustainable solutions for our world. So my ask is, I'm very interested in impact investing and also collaborators. So if you know anyone or have any ideas about these subjects, please feel free to contact and connect with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wani. While she is posting a link to her form in the chat, I would also like to ask, does anyone have a question for Wani? Lupka, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. You just put a question in the chat. Do you want to ask it?
Sure. Thank you for the presentation. Very inspiring to put all those concepts together, Wani. I was just wondering, and maybe I missed this. Is this actually a program that is currently being offered to entrepreneurs? Or what is the channel through which this is brought to the world?
Hello. Yeah. Thank you, Luca, for your question. This is something that is still in development, though a lot of the things are already in place. So, for example, nonviolent communication, we have the basics for that. Sociocracy also is in development. So it's not everything is completely done yet, but most of it is.
Great. Thank you. And good luck.
All right. I see a second question from Jill. Perhaps, do you want to ask it quickly, Jill?
Sure. Hi, Wani. Thank you for that presentation. It's really fascinating. I'd like to ask you the question of, like, where do you see this going? If you could imagine the program happening somewhere that isn't where it is already, where would you like to see it?
To be honest, I think I would like to see it everywhere, the whole world. Preferably my choice would be to open source it so that everyone has access to developing themselves and actually being able to access their best selves and presenting that to the world.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Great. So while you're finishing up the last few bits of Wani's form, David, you're up next.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is David, and I'm the founder of 7 Billion Presidents. And 7 Billion Presidents is a movement that's on a mission to build an inclusive and just society, and one with a stable climate. We do this by building or transitioning companies to companies where 100% of the profit goes back into our society. So imagine walking into a cafe, knowing all the profit is used to start a club. And walking into this club, knowing all the profit is used to buy land to grow healthy food. And if you buy coffee, tea, or chocolate at the cafe, the club, or the farm, knowing all the profit is used to protect and restore ecosystems. This way, the community grows, the amount of companies that join, they grow, and we create more spaces where people can experience how this new society looks like. So why would a company join? Basically for 3 reasons: to feel good, to do good, to be part of a community, and last but not least, to have the support of a community to grow your company. In the dream scenario, the transition to this new society would be modeled a bit like how we transitioned to Wikipedia, in the sense that a small group of people build it, no one changes their political or worldview, and we all start using Wikipedia and we stop using books. As they say, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So what have we done so far? We started a partnership with a local beer brand because we thought the best way to communicate is by doing. So together we brewed the first batch of beer for humankind. And at the same time, we're growing the 7 Billion Presidents community. All the people here, they're in support of 7 Billion Presidents, and many of which are 7 Billion Presidents ambassadors. The idea is to grow in an organic matter. At the moment, our reach is very small. We're in a very small bubble, but it's super nice to see that people are starting to find us and reaching out and saying, "Hey, I believe we could make this work. Let me know what I can do because I would love to join." So imagine a person from Germany that wants to start a beer brand, then they can collaborate with the existing beer brand in Amsterdam. And if in Shanghai or Kampala, the local community builds a regenerative Airbnb or ticket swap or BlaBlaCar, then the next day they can share it with the other existing communities around the world. This way, we aim to transition the current society that's based on profit, that's based on growth, and leads to the exploitation of people and destruction of nature, to one where we choose to collaborate and build a better life for all of us. So how can people join? People can join by joining the 77 Cent Club. This means you become a member and donate 77 cents every month. Or you can join as a company and become a member. This means you pay €7 per employee per month. Or you, as a company, can become a fully 7 billion presidents company, which means the movement will do everything it can to support you and grow your business. As 7 billion presidents, we aim to build a new. To be we need you. Thank you very much. And I'll share, if this resonates with you in any way, I'll share the link in the chat.
Thank you so much, David. So does anyone have a question for David?
I do. I'm Letty. Hello, David. So thank you for the presentation. How does a company join your organization?
There are two ways a company can join. One, by becoming a member, and then basically they join the mycelium network that we're building and visualizing, soon to be seen on the website. And if you become a member as a company, you pay €7 per employee per month.
€7 per employee. So it depends on the size of my company. Let's say I had 100 employees, then I'll pay you 7 times 100.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
And the second possibility is that you become a fully 100% 7 billion presidents company. And then we as a community will do everything we can to support and grow your company. And in return, of course, you give the profit back to build a better society for all of us. If the community grows your turnover by, let's say, tenfold, your salary, the salaries are allowed to increase a bit, but it's all about maintaining trust with the community. Because if your salary would go tenfold, then the community would be like, this doesn't feel fair, and we would choose a different company to build the relationship with.
Got it. And do you have case studies of companies that have already done that and grew with your help?
We just partnered up with an existing company in Amsterdam, and he was very happy to partner up. He could use the help because he just split with his partner. He wanted to be part of a community and he wanted to do good. So that seems like the perfect match. And we have another guy we're in touch with. He has a ticketing system and he's also basically ready to collaborate.
Very good. Such a good, such a good model I found. So yeah, good luck with this.
Thank you. In Dream, maybe to wrap it up, the last 25 years, we have built the world as it is today. Google is from 98, YouTube, Facebook, etc. We are doing all the work. So why not start building companies where the billions don't go to the billionaires, but go back to empower people, communities, and stabilize the climate? So yeah, in theory, it could go super fast. With a community of 100 software developers, we could build anything we want. And then it's all about outreach and storytelling. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah. Good luck. I'll
Thank you.
definitely check you out. Cheers.
Wonderful. So while you're finishing up the last bits of David's feedback form, Siva, perhaps you can share your slide deck.
Hello everyone, welcome to Map of Vita. My name is Siva and I live in Frankfurt, Germany. Map of Vita will be a social enterprise based out of Germany. Vita is a Latin word that means life. Map is a short form of meaning and purpose. So Map of Vita means meaning and purpose of life. So in short, what is the purpose of Map of Vita? If you like to change the external world we live in, we are here to empower your internal world to achieve that. Before I explain more about Map of Vita, let me briefly introduce myself and why I wanted to start Map of Vita. I'm originally from India. From a young age, I have been a spiritual seeker and have been on my life's inner journey. Since 2006, I have been sailing on merchant marine navigating ships as a navigating officer, traveling around the world. I'm fortunate to travel to more than 50 countries and met local people from remote places around the globe. I also got an experience on the effects of climate change in person from various parts of the world. This external traveling around the world and my internal spiritual journey from a young age made me to start seeing my life and the world from a different perspective. In 2019, I quit my sailing career and moved to Germany to spend the rest of my life giving back to our planet. I believe you are all aware that we are in the midst of sixth mass extinction that is driven by us. Every problem that we are facing today is created by us with our present mindsets. So to have a better future, first we have to change within ourselves, because as Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it. To have a better world, we should have a better mindset to create it. As Bob Proctor said, your outside world is a reflection of your inside world. What goes on the inside shows on the outside. So the change has to start from within us. That is where Map of Vita comes in. On one side, there are unique coaches who are specialized in internal transformation that are needed to present world demands. And on the other side, there are us who want change in the external world. We believe if the inner wisdom of these guides is transformed to us, it would empower us to face the present external world problems and to create a better world. So we are creating an online platform to achieve that. We are all in different situations and follow different paths in life. So has to be our internal journey too. So learning on our platform happens by asking your inner journey questions to guides or coaches within our platform, and also by learning from other individuals' questions on the platform that resonates with you. Learning is just one part of the change. So for it to become a practice, we have to resonate with our learnings. On our platform, you can create an online meeting on any topic that you're interested in, and people from around the globe who are interested in the same topic can join the online meeting. We are also creating a community of self-reflected individuals by facilitating opportunities to connect on various levels. This could be a self-reflected people to connect on personal level or on a professional level, which may help to start new initiatives that could contribute to the betterment of our planet. So how do we want to work? These are some of the examples how we want to work. For instance, to share everything transparently on our website and to be steward-owned social enterprise without extracting anything from our society. We want to have one salary for everyone on our team. Explanations of all these that are given here are on our website. So what is our request? If our initiative resonated with you, we would be happy to have your support. You can take part in our MVP that we are conducting. You can send us your inner transformation question. We will send it back to you with once our guides or coaches answers it. We need more guides and coaches on our platform. Connect us, anyone if you know. Support us in any other possible way. You can let us have a call. These are our contact details. And thanks for listening. And let me share our feedback form. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Siva. So while he is posting the link to his feedback form, I would just like to ask if anyone has a question for Siva.
Letty, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
I'm part of the incubator. I have Siva's contacts. I can tell him everything.
I feel bad because I just did the last guy. But my question was, what do you need to become a consultant? Like, what sort of people are you looking for to be consultants with you?
People, basically there is no need, because I'm thinking we don't need a certification or something. People who are trained as coaches or guides, and maybe I'll have an interaction with them. And if I feel they are resonating with what we're trying to bring in, then they can be part of our team.
Okay, so it's very inclusive.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because I believe for transformation to happen, people should have be self-reflected and more understanding. So certification will not give them that. It's what they understand within them. This is what will bring a change. This is what I believe in.
Amazing. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ramona, you had a question as well. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering over the difference between a coach and a mentor. And I was wondering about your take on that, Siva, because when I understand you correctly, people come with a question, but then are the coaches giving advice? Because normally giving advice for a coach is pretty much a no-go, right? So you're rather asking a question back so the people that have come to you with a question can find their own answers on things, or you would walk them through an exercise maybe. So I'm wondering, what's the kind of response that you think those coaches will give, or is it actually going to be more of a mentoring platform?
It really depends on the question, and also it depends on the coach or the guide. So that's what I'm saying. Everyone has their own individual path in learning, and also individual path in teaching. So I want to leave it that to the seeker, and I want to leave it to the teacher. So let them take their path.
Thank you so much, Siva.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to speak to you from Lebanon. And as we're sitting in a failed state, it's probably no surprise that we're looking a lot at how we can clean up the mess that humanity has made in how we're inhabiting the earth. And I'm pretty sure all that we are sitting here are quite aware that that's an issue. Now, what we found is that actually more people than you might think do have some sort of decision-making power over how we're inhabiting land. Either by being landowners or by being connected to that, for example, through being in a school board or other organizations. But they often don't really know how they could transform the land that they have access to into a truly regenerative project, either because they're not clear on what their ideas, or they have an ambitious idea, but they can't really find the experts with them to really do it and materialize it to the level that they would really like it to, and have that trust. And that's really where we come in. We're doing everything from architecture to landscape consulting, all the way to actually research in academia in the field of rewilding, and also our own social and educational projects. Where do we do that? At the same place where our money goes, which is our own afforestation projects that are run by something called the Miyawaki method, which is one of the Project Drawdown secret weapons to fight climate change, especially for cities. We are Lebanon's first B corporation and only the fourth in the entire Middle East. Our founder is Adib, who you can see on the right, and we're a pretty small team of like 3 to 5 people usually. We are doing all of this by following one certain design principle called biomimicry, where we're using nature as a model, as a measure, and as a mentor. We are doing that also in a participatory way. So apart from looking into the needs of nature, we are actually also looking into the needs of humans and really engaging them even also in the execution of things, especially in our afforestation. That means that in the past years, we've had to navigate 4 major socioeconomic disruptions while we've been doing all of that. Given the fact that we're here, we've won 7 awards. And last year has been particularly nice in terms of the engagement of people on the ground. 300 kids planted their first trees with us in their lives. We've reached over 1,500 people, been featured in books. And the number of forests that we have by now is 11, with 13,500 trees on 3,500 square meters of previously super degraded land. We're only planting native species. And in terms of the designing part of our work, we've been in the last year working on 5 different architecture and rewilding projects of different types. One of which I want to talk with you about now, where we have actually taken inspiration from termites that keep their termite mound within 1 degree Celsius, despite highly fluctuating outside temperatures, whereas we as humans, unexperienced as we are using 20% of our annual energy consumption just for heating and cooling. Now, how do the termites do that? They do that actually by ventilating their termite mound in a smart way. And so we then combine this nature-based thinking with really cutting-edge technology that often we don't bring in ourselves, but we have a network of experts that we're collaborating with, like here, where we then did wind modeling to really see how we can keep the building as cool as possible simply by how it's arranged. This is how it then looked from the inside, again, with native landscaping and local materials. This has been the first BREEAM certified residency building in Saudi Arabia as well. So here in the region, quite at the forefront also for regenerative certification for buildings. In landscaping, it can look more like this then, where we really map out the water flows and the zoning that you would have normally find in the ecosystem there, and really bringing in, again, the needs from the humans and what nature would actually like us to do in a place. And you can see how that then works out in design patterns, or even later on when we're choosing like the materials, the colors, the furniture, when it goes all the way into interior in alignment with the natural landscape. For afforestation, like I said, we're using Miyawaki. The coolest thing about the forest is actually that they're self-sustainable after 3 years, so you don't have any watering or maintenance. Our biggest project is at the Beirut River, where unfortunately rewilding of the entire river is nowhere near inside because of the current political situation in Lebanon. But we are having 12,500 square meters around, where we bring back the natural ecosystem that you would normally find at the river if it was a river still. Here's some images of how we did that with the before and after. And what I'd also like to share with you is how it looks like in very urbanized settings. We do a lot of playground rewilding recently. So taking school grounds and either doing larger interventions like this one, where we have like 30 different types of things, from a rooftop farm to bringing in animals or a water quest, all the way to our signature forest. Or even just a very small one. You can really do something in any type of space, like these smaller school projects that we've done, where then those forests serve really the educational purpose mainly. Our ask to you is, if you have a land, or you know someone who does have any sort of land that they would like to transform, maybe you would like to share the contact with us. And we're curious to hear what you would need to know about us or hear from us to consider actually hiring us to transform it. Like, why or why wouldn't you work with us? And other ways to support us are by connecting us to other actors in the field. We're curious to expand our networks basically anywhere into the world. You can send us grants and funding opportunities, especially for those public projects that we like to run. You can, of course, hire us for talks and workshops, especially also in the biomimicry frame. And you can come volunteer or intern with us if you'd like to. So on that note, you can go into the chat, and we're happy to hear from you on that. I'm sure if Carol already put it, otherwise, let me know, then I'll pop it in. And overview slide on the process and our context.
Thank you so much, Ramona. I would just like to ask if anyone has any questions for Ramona.
I have a question. It's nothing to do with business though, but and the similarity of the term Dada, what does Dada means?
What does Dada mean? Adib's standing next to me here. Adib's family name is Dada. So, and his father has an architecture company. And so we are the other Dada, because that one is more focused on interior. And then we are having this whole regenerative approach, and are actually not only architecture anymore, right? It's way more than that. So that's kind of how the joke came into being, of being the other Dada, not the one that the other people might know. We're this Dada. Yeah. That's
So
all.
Dada is very Lebanese name, or
Yeah, we are in Lebanon, so
I see. Okay,
are you
but
from there as well?
just for because I come from Bengal, West Bengal. This is the state of India, and Dada means big brother. So that's why I was very interested. What does Dada means in Lebanese? So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Wonderful. While you're continuing filling out the forms, I guess we have time for one more question. If Anna, go ahead.
So Ramona and Adib, remind us where you work. So if there's land in the US, you're not working there, right? Needs to be close to where you are.
It depends on what you're doing. Like when it comes to the design stuff, and especially if you're able to cover costs for traveling, those things are an option. We also have quite a broad network everywhere, so we would just invite anyone to actually approach us and pitch their ideas, and then we can see what we do with this. If we can't, then we can't. In terms of active rewilding and really being on the ground, we're mainly in Lebanon and are currently looking like to see maybe Egypt, UAE, KSA, so Saudi Arabia would be the like lower hanging fruits for us. But yeah, let's see where the wind takes us. It depends, like we can conceptualize all the time anyway. So when it just comes to, having someone to think along with you and do like the first scoping of the project or some initial stages of the design, that works. When it comes into the stuff where you need more field visits, then it gets more tricky.
All right, so we are going to start today with Alice. Alice, if you are ready to begin, feel free.
Okay, hey everyone. My name's Alice and I'm the founder of Hoven Here, which is a community that tries to link gardeners to gardens. So the reason I wanted to start this business is basically because we're facing a massive climate change or global warming, or as Guterres said, I think a couple of days ago, global boiling. So we face in our cities large problems with urban heat. You can see that in this graphic, the changes of our temperatures, which is making the cities less and less livable. And at the same time, we have widespread biodiversity loss, both in the cities and outside of them. So I really wanted to think, this is obviously way too big of a problem for individual people, but I thought it is nice to try to do something small that we can do ourselves in our own community. And something that happens a lot here in the Netherlands is that you see that private urban gardens are very underused. So this particular photo, this is my house 5 years ago, and you see there's a lot of paving, there's a lot of stones, there's nothing green. And this is quite typical. And it happens because, people don't have time to garden. It's quite physically difficult to remove all of this like paving and stones once it's there. And also it can be quite difficult to know how to get started or how to do it if you've never done it before. At the same time, you have a group of people, particularly young people who are students or maybe living in apartments who do not have gardening space and would perhaps like it or would be willing to try. So the vision of Hoven Here and what we're trying to do is connect these two groups of people together and support them as they come together so that they can hopefully grow something nice together. So we try to connect the gardeners with garden owners in a similar district. We support them and teach, if necessary, like how to plant for biodiversity, how to do a vegetable garden, if you like to do that, and give them options for what they might like to do together, because everybody's tastes are different. And during this, of course, we're also trying to get stronger community connections because, that's a very, very valuable thing. And this is a very nice way, I think, to start in our own gardens and backyards or front yards. You see, this is my house now to me, it's much better. It's healthier, happier, and I get little bug friends coming along. So at the moment, we're very early on. Our proposed business model is that we will have a subscription model for the owners of the garden, and that it will be free for the gardeners who want to take part, because they are doing a lot of the work of it. We have an MVP lined up for September. There is a very large empty garden of a children's social home. So this is a nice place for children to go if they are having trouble at home or trouble at school. But at the moment, they have done nothing with the land that they have surrounding the buildings, and they're interested in having something there. So together with a bunch of gardeners from community outreach programs, we're going to go and see what we can do, see what we can build together. And at the same time, I'm going to be interviewing everyone taking part to try and, validate and see what direction to take this in. So if you would like to get involved, I would love to hear from you. I'm particularly looking for people in the Netherlands who either have a garden or who would like to be a gardener. So if you are either of those people, please make contact with the contact details there. And also collaborators. If any of you know anybody, or if you are working in a similar field of community outreach or biodiversity, I'd also love to just connect and chat. So thank you very much, and I will put a little URL in the chat for you to fill in.
Great. So we will take this time now to collect any questions as well as filling out the URL. So for the next few minutes here, we'd like to ask if anybody has any questions for Alice and for her venture. You can go ahead and turn on your microphone and ask, raise your hand, post in the chat, however you feel comfortable.
Is that a hand from Sana? I think you're still muted if you want to.
Yeah.
Talk.
Can I also apply with my rooftop terrace?
Why not? I haven't thought about it, but I mean, I'd be happy to talk about that with you.
Oh.
Is it also a focus point for you to revive indigenous plant species? Because this is like a hot topic in the regenerative spheres. So I was wondering if this is also one of the things that you focus upon.
I don't think I would really focus on it, but in terms of the planting, like there are a lot of things that you should plant in this country that fit it, right? But ultimately it comes down to people's taste. So I would say I would definitely encourage people to use the plants that are native to the Netherlands as much as possible.
Okay, we will take one more question from Maria here, and then we'll give about 1 extra minute afterwards to fill out the feedback form.
I love the idea, but I live in Brussels and my garden is in Brussels. It's an empty garden.
Yeah, thank you. If this is successful in the Netherlands, then I will come and find you in Brussels, not a problem.
Great.
So hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. My name is Suparna, and I'm the founder of Huge, which is a consulting studio working on the problem of disconnection. So as we know at this point, disconnection is at the root of many chronic issues of our time, from loneliness to addiction, and there are data points plenty in our media. So I'm not sharing those here, but what I will say is that it's a deeply felt issue. You feel it in your everyday, in your silent moments, and it's also very personal to me. I've had a life of crushing loss, but a lot of connection. And so I understand both sides of this equation pretty well. And I also see that it's diffused in our everyday. It's diffused in our mundane. It's embedded everywhere. It's in how we relate to ourselves. When we come home after a long day, rather than resting, we find ourselves, binge watching Netflix, and we're in the 3rd hour already. It's in how we relate to others, how we might bypass a grieving coworker because just we're not comfortable engaging with them. We just don't know how. Or how we might get pulled into notifications, when we have loved ones sitting right beside us wanting our attention. It's also in what we create. So there's certain qualities, and Melanie kind of referenced these, that we repeatedly prioritize in our companies and our cultures and our products. When we prioritize convenience over effort, or entertainment over meaning, or quantity over quality, which is kind of the endless shelf of social media that we live with these days. And every interaction like that kind of changes how we think, feel, and behave. And how can it not? And the cumulative impact is that we then absorb these poor defaults, and then we perpetuate them again in what we create, whether it's companies or cultures or products. And so how do we solve this? I believe that a problem that is this diffused also needs a solution that's this diffused. If we're enacting disconnection in the everyday, at the level of interactions, I think we can learn how to relate better at the level of interactions, and how we relate to self and others across our strong and weak ties, people that we know or don't know, online or offline. And also, to clarify, you can relate better without being in relationship with somebody. And we have astounding wisdom in how to do this, why we do what we do, and how we can do better. We have a lot of knowledge, but it's embedded across disciplines, from social sciences to systems thinking that was referenced, and wisdom traditions, and many different philosophies around the world. And so what if there was a way to make all this insight actionable? What if we could have modular building blocks, like pretty much how we have the building blocks of good health, right? So we know that sleep, nutrition, movement, and stress response joined together are the building blocks of good health. And so thinking this way also makes this adaptable, right? So across cultures, no matter where you live, if you live in Norway or Mexico, the building blocks don't change. Now your strategies or preferred strategies, or what's available to you, may change, but the blocks themselves are pretty fungible. And they also help you mentally, with priming and to take action. They help you with practical skill and also build your emotional capacity. And they're also iterative. So you can apply, learn. And frankly, over time, our knowledge of the blocks themselves shifts, right? And so that's exactly what I've done over the last year. I've deep dived into all the disciplines I mentioned and more. And I'm bringing in the qualities I mentioned. So I'm building a modular framework with practical insights that you can funnel through. It's actionable, adaptable, iterative. And my V1 idea, and there's a lot more to come, is to offer tiered support for consulting. So you can imagine, the most low touch version could be like a self-service format where I just share these frameworks, could be hands-on workshops, and to a little bit more intense, which is more participative consulting and design. And while I do think this applies really well across the board to individuals, groups, but I'm prioritizing organizations, at least to test out the idea and my hypothesis. And so I'm looking at organizations that are interested in creating healthier interactions through their products and relational spaces through their culture or our business models. And so some potential MVP testers that I'm looking at are a burn care clinic, which is focused on humane patient care. So there's a lot that happens, around cancer care, but that kind of thinking humanity doesn't necessarily translate to all levels of medical needs, burn care being an example. There's a coaching practice in India that's aimed at founders and CEOs, and so people in the C-suite. And so imagine applying this framework with that HR level consulting to kind of start changing the mindset of some of these leaders. And then what I'm really interested in is my third project, which is at the Foundation for Social Connection, which is a US-based nonprofit. And we'll be looking at products that we use in the everyday, tech or not, and assessing their impact on relationality and kind of building some sort of a scale and creating more visibility. And so my vision, of course, near-term vision is to create the healthy relational spaces and cultures that I speak of. But the long-term vision really is to leave better defaults for future generations. If you can imagine doing this work for the next several decades, and even if imperfectly, we would really leave behind a better world. And so that's really my hope. How you can help is help me test my hypothesis, please, in the real world. I'm looking for people to collaborate with, learn from, test with, and help me sharpen my thinking. If there's any feedback you have on this, and connect with me on LinkedIn. And I also write. I started writing a few years ago, and I write short form. So you can check that out. And I will stop the share and, oh, you don't see it anyway. Okay, great. And send you the feedback form so you can give me your great insights. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to really see you all here. But yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, so my name is Suzanne Joy, and I live here in Lira, Uganda, and I'm the founder of Fireplace. And really say that living here and working here, I've really, witnessed the daily struggles of women as they are the center of everything, and household responsibilities really fall heavily on their shoulders. And most of them are smallholder farmers who produce food for household consumption, but also to their local markets. So when COVID-19 hit, food production really reduced, and we are having more and more families eating meals every other day. And as a result, we have at least 1 in 4 women in Uganda struggling with depression. And yet Uganda spends 9.8% of its national budget in health, with less than 1% in mental health. So, so really we are, just like we are a network of women here in Lira, and we really come together to just, observe, listen, feel, and just pay attention to what we are experiencing to enhance well-being. And we do envision a world where women are radiating aliveness within themselves, but also onto others, by really co-creating these transdisciplinary living spaces to enhance well-being. And these spaces, I would say, they are co-created and really evolve according to the needs of the women, while also incorporating Marshall Rosenberg's NVC nonviolent communication principles. And currently, at the moment, there's a huge need for food independence, and also to boost nutrition and implement circular farming solutions to improve the health of the soil. And so with those, with those with experience in regenerative agriculture and natural medicine practitioners really collaborate to share knowledge and farm these medicinal herbal plants and also nutritional food for the community here in Lira. So, so far we do have 3 spaces in 3 villages. That's Adagayala, Adwankun, and Ngetan. These are really rural villages, and each consisting of 3 to 5 circles with women ranging between the ages of 15 to 72 years. So with this, we do also offer just like our business model, and this is something that we also incorporate into our activities as well. But we do offer classes on conscious communication and really following the NPC principles, where we learn how to make observations without judgment, expressing our feelings and not really our thoughts, but also really how can we express our needs without really putting in a bunch of strategies and how can we also make these requests without making our demands. So these are skills that don't come naturally because we are not taught this at a younger age. So it takes time and practice, right? So the more we practice, the more we become, conscious and aware, and really strengthening collaborations and just meaningful engagements and relationships. And this, we do need this in any kind of collaboration. Just communication is like the key. So we do offer these courses to be able to fund our activities, especially in building this transdisciplinary, building these spaces, because of course it requires resources and money as well. So these courses really help us with that. And so, currently we are looking obviously for customers to sign up to these learning courses, build fund the project, but also we are looking for collaborators with experience in regenerative agriculture, sexual farming, systems, but also those who have experience in these natural medicinal plants to really work with our women. And also because the women, they undergo various, they have they undergo various traumatic experiences, and they have, some of them are really struggling with emotionally with other mental illnesses. So we're really also looking for coaches who would be able to offer these services to the women as well. So we're really taking a holistic approach to this. So if this is something that really interests you, please reach out to me on my email. But I'm also going to attach in here in the chat the contact form that you can reach me in, just like gather your insights and anything or any kind of feedback that you might have while listening to me. So I really appreciate you, and thanks for listening.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Natalie, and I want to introduce you to our business idea, Soulfully Rich. And the envision, really the heart of Soulfully Rich is to embody and transcend beyond the labels of the human experience while bringing our soul to work. We really wanted to create a vision where we're empowering others to live well and work well for generations to come. At the core of what unites us as a team is to bring people first and to bring wholeness to the workplace and to work with businesses that share these same values. And really the idea, or I should say the word of the business, came to me in 2017 when I was at a crossroad and, quite frankly, in hopeless despair from my current job that led me on a pursuit to pursue what the inner and outer work meant and how that could be sanctified in bringing more soul to work. It actually led to me in finding inspiration to the state of the soul. And that's when I came across Parker Palmer's book on hidden wholeness. And he describes the soul as being hopeful. It engages in the world in ways that keeps our heart open. The soul is creative. It finds ways between realities and the fantasies that are merely escapes. All we need to do is to bring down the walls that separates us from our own soul. And that really hit me because that made me reflect on what walls do we put up every day with our loved ones, and what walls do we put up within our communities and in our places of work. That also led my husband and I on a venture to push the boundaries of business and to see how we might intentionally design spaces that retain talented people and encourage them to communicate and also connect on a deeper level. How might our world change, and how might that shift our work culture today? We found that through our studies and our research, an average American spends over $90,000 over a course of their lifetime at work. That's almost a decade of our lives. And it almost brings a rising question of how might that shift our community and how might that change? You'll find with statistics today that almost 60% of people at work are emotionally detached. There's even a revolution right now where most are called the quiet quitters. And this negative sentiment doesn't just bleed or stay in the office. It actually trickles in every aspect of life and into our workplace. Along with it also comes the negative impact and emotions of anger, stress, and worry, which is at an all-time high in 2021 and continued to climb in 2022. We found as a team that most programs of employee wellness just don't simply address these mental health and the dissatisfaction. And we are committed to prioritizing holistic well-being that dismantle the walls that come between our work and our soul's work. So as a boutique firm, Soulfully Rich is a talent acquisition and consulting firm, and we work specifically with job seekers, small business, and startups to do exactly this. Our consulting firm creates a platform and becomes the liaison between the job seeker and businesses that are built with soul. Together, we offer a heart-centered recruiting process that both connects the candidates to the organizations based on value shares. And this goes beyond traditional metrics of recruiting experience and consider every aspect of the human aspect of hiring. On the job seeker front, we really worked with aligning the inner values to their outer values. And that has to do with a lot of subconscious work and continuous career coaching. For the business, we help create dynamic, heart-centered talent recruiting strategies. So anywhere from the start of aligning and clarifying core values to promoting D&I, which is diversity and inclusion, to creating more models that include emotional intelligence, compassion, and authenticity. Our platform is designed specifically for the job seekers and employees within the organization to continually enrich their soulful living practices and have access to content and community that nourish their soul. So with this two-pronged approach, we see it as we're developing purpose and strengthening trust and safe places where individuals feel that they could bring their wholeness, both mind, body, and soul to work every day. I guess when I met what, Business Built One Soul, through the years, we found that the heart-centered approach really works. Through intentionally designing and clarifying values, we're able to attract the best talents while increasing ability to create more spaces for soul level connection. And this really brings a new paradigm, because I believe paradigms are what creates a new world. We love to hear from you. We love to hear ways that we can partner and collaborate, whether that's through co-sponsored events, workshops, or building resource guides that continue to expand this work of well-being and wholeness that trickles to the workplace. Again, thank you for allowing me to share my vision with you today, and we love your partnership in creating a soulfully rich business and in life.
Okay, great. So Natalie will be sharing her link in the chat. Any questions for Natalie while she's here, available to answer them?
Hi, I had a question. I was wondering, in your consultation with businesses, do you get into issues around legal structure and like I guess kind of deeper, if it's financially extractive and what the legal structure is and the implications of that? Yeah, I was wondering about that.
We don't specifically get into it, but that, it really is a continuous discovery process by having that initial consultation or intake session with the candidate or the organization, and really understand the DNA makeup of their culture, what their values, and really understand. So for instance, we're working with a Brazilian martial arts, and really the idea of, their organization is naturalistic principle, which is amazing and aligned. But that's really just through an intuitive process to really understanding that DNA, and also choosing to work with aligned businesses at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, so the thing is that I'm just going to start with telling you all that I really changed my idea in the last couple of weeks of this of this incubator. Now my initial idea was to form a green building engineering consulting company, but I just decided that I can do this wherever I want, basically. So I'm just going to present another idea that I think that I can use your help on. So the thing is that what I'm going to present now is the IKI Balkan PGE Incubator. The thing is that IKI stands for Institute for Circular Economy, and this is a Bulgarian NGO that I started with two other people more than 5 years ago. And I'm really thinking on replicating some aspects of the PGE incubator and to host PGE boot camps in my country. So how we started? Basically, we started in 2018, and we were two co-founders, two engineers, and one biotechnologist. Now 5 years later, in 2023, we are 10 full members and 4 associated members, while we brought a lot of diversity in the team. And now we have architects, business development, university professor, financists, and quite a lot of other people. So the thing is that what it's really making us quite unique for Bulgaria, it is that we are really a multidisciplinary team of professionals with a wealth of knowledge and experience and a common purpose to work on circular economy in the way that we understand it. Because the thing is that one of the ways that we, one of the things that we, that why we're called Institute for Circular Economy, it's to be able to go into the mainstream. But of course, we are incorporating ideas of degrowth, post-growth, and all the things that we were discussing in the last 10 weeks. So that we are a non-profit organization, non-hierarchical organization, volunteer-led, and aiming to be non-extractive. And the thing is that some of our successes, just very briefly, we probably the major success that I can share, it's that for the second year, we have university level course on circular design models in architecture at the University of Architecture and Geology in Sofia in Bulgaria. And we are participating in the Green Restart Coalition in Bulgaria for more than three years, together with Greenpeace and WWF and one more local NGO. So the thing is that in this time that we were existing, we had more than 50 workshops and presentations to companies, municipalities, NGOs, universities, and we consulted more than 10 startups on circular and donut economy principles. And we participated in Bulgaria in writing the Bulgaria's future history textbook, and we imagined how the country would basically decarbonize itself till 2050. So it was really nice exercise to do so. And basically what it's the problem that I can see what is actually the problem that we are trying to solve with this pitch. It's the lack of vision in Bulgaria and in the surrounding countries of the problems that are really on the forefront for us to solve. And the thing is that there is a quite big fetish for green growth right now in Bulgaria and in the countries and in the surrounding countries, and that everyone is believing that in the god of technology, and that the god of technology is going to solve everything, and no one is talking about, for example, sufficiency and efficiency and a lot of nice concepts, and of course the limits to growth and donut economics and all of these principles. And the biggest problem is that we have a really short-term thinking, and everything it's bowing to the god of growth, economic growth. And what we're proposing actually, it's we're proposing series of boot camps, and we're also proposing to create a university level PGE course, or at least to get some elements of the PGE incorporated in this course. And the thing is, for the next year, what I'm really planning is to have the first bootcamp with PGE principles in Bulgaria, and to host it here, to make it available for the youth just for a test phase and to see what is going to go for the next year in 2025, where I really want to enlarge the participants, and I want to get also some startups to participate, and also to involve some local politicians, NGO leaders, and of course to get maybe a couple of international well-known people to join us. And yeah, basically that's it for then. I don't really know how we are going to develop. This is an idea, but I'm really keen on working on it. And what I'm asking for, it's basically if you're willing to help me to choose the most suitable business model that is going to be sustainable in the long run, in the long term, and how to make these boot camps affordable to all. Because the thing is that one of the problems in this world, it's that a lot of the courses are not really affordable. And one of the reasons why I'm here is basically because this course is free. This is a good thing for me. But how to make it affordable for all, this is something that I am really keen on exploring with you. And how to avoid being overworked and underpaid while developing the boot camps. Because one of the things that I noticed is that, for example, this university level course that we are having right now, it is mostly run, it is entirely run on a volunteer basis from our team and on our free time. So how to make the whole model as sustainable as possible in order for us to be able to continue it in the long run. So the thing is that if you have some ideas, don't hesitate to contact me. Here is my email, and I'm just going to copy the tiny URL form in the chat. So if you have some questions right now, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen, and I'm going to paste this in the chat. And what I'm really looking for, it's, I don't know, maybe some advice really how to make it sustainable in the long run. This is what I'm looking. I'm just going to paste the link right now.
It'll take about a minute to fill out the form, and then we will go to our last presentation.
Hello all, very happy to present something to you all today. We use this PGE incubator, which we enjoyed so much, to work on a new concept, which we call COM. And it's about a scalable community impact hub with a purpose to connect and regenerate the world, one neighborhood at a time. But first, a bit about us. I'm unfortunately by myself today. Marcella has is a bit ill today. She has a bad case of food poisoning. Nevertheless, here is a picture of her, so you also know that we are a duo, a dynamic duo, and we are Come On. We founded Come On a little bit over a year ago, and everything we do is for the commons, for the common good, and with a positive energy, we strive to encourage to transition the world to an economy for the common good. And we do that by functioning as a new generation of real estate developers with the purpose to create meaningful places that are connecting and regenerative. And in doing so, we try to rethink all the ways we work currently, because they're inspired by an old economy. This is our vision as an organization. We work towards a kind world for all, in which we enable each and every being. And one big mission and dream we have is to reconnect and regenerate the world, starting with the Netherlands. And as you can see on the right, we've already started doing so. So from research to actually realizing meaningful places in the form of community hubs. And on the right, you see a research we've committed over the past year, which is a research into neighborhood connections. And actually, what is necessary? We've analyzed over 10 different neighborhood hubs and figured out what makes them tick, how they function, and what we can take away to bring it to the next level. Next to this, we have a lot of experience in reconnecting people, regenerating places. So, for example, We work on creating inclusive communities in the work of interior designs. We are redeveloping churches to give them back a new social meaning that they used to have, but are losing these days. We work on creating resilient care communities for all different age groups with the goal to bring them back together. And we are working on realizing community hubs with a focus on creating more impact, for example, through community gardening. We even started a new company for this branch, which we call a community impact hub. So you could see it's as a community center, but then generation 2.0 with a good business model, of course, post-growth, enterprise oriented, but that reinvests its profit back into the neighborhoods. And this is very necessary, we believe, because in society we observe a growing division and a growing inequality. So there's increased poverty, homelessness, segregation, and at COM, which is the Dutch word for come in, but also football, we believe it doesn't have to be this way. Together we find a common ground. So below you see things that are rising in society. So there's an increase in homelessness, social disintegration, and a growth of loneliness, social segregation, unemployment, gentrification, and a lack of safety net, and that shouldn't be there. So we introduce kom, which, as I said, is the Dutch word for bol, but it also means come inside. So it says, so we can use it in the sense of kom binnen, kom eten, kom ontmoeten, kom samen, or in English, come inside, come eat, come meet, come together, come enjoy, come share, come work, come play, and many more. So we'd like to start this new type of branch based on our research and experience in creating these places. We love to create new community hubs where we can make, for example, healthy food accessible for an underprivileged neighborhood, but also create places that bring different people, different places of society together and to solve societal issues together. And we believe food is a way to connect, but also a right for everyone. And everyone is welcome. So kom offers something for everyone. We are a community hub providing accessible and healthy food at an affordable price. And if you want something more indulgent or extra, that's also possible. And by paying a little extra, you will support someone who might not be able to afford it. Com is all about creating a nurturing environment that prioritizes health and connection. Something we really need in the Netherlands, where these type of places have slowly been leaving our system due to stopped government subsidies. But we think these places are necessary to also create communities for change, create communities that together uplift neighborhoods. Com is a social enterprise based on the concept of the post-growth economy, of course. We reinvest 100% of our profits back into the neighborhoods to help regenerate them, to start planting trees together, to do all other stuff, but it starts all with connection. And our values for Com are we're welcoming to everyone, we're respectful, understanding, solution-oriented, and open. Do you see what we see, and would you like to join us in building the commons that we really believe in? Then join us in our first steps. We hope that Com can spread out all over the Netherlands, and maybe if we find also an international name, also beyond. And we would be thrilled to start in the capital city of Amsterdam. We've also spoke about it with Melanie. It could be combined with a sort of broedplaats, how do you say it, like communal, also a sort of entrepreneurship hub. So for all Dutchies in this PGE incubator, let me know if you want to join. We can build this first hub in the Netherlands together and also make a statement of what we believe in, what we stand for. And from there, the movement can grow. So kom op, as we say in Dutch, come on. Do you want to help or do you see possibilities? Maybe you have some suggestions. Would you like to collaborate? Do you think your startup can add something to this ecosystem? Let us know. We'd love to collaborate. And we're really going to make this work. We have started already in some churches in the Netherlands, but it would also be super cool to do something together with this ecosystem. So unfortunately, I do not have a feedback form. However, there's this beautiful chat function. So if you have any ideas or suggestions, please reach out. And otherwise, feel free to send us an email or a WhatsApp message. Thanks for your very kind attention.
All right. So yeah, so while we're waiting for track 2 to finish, how'd you guys like it?
I like the diversity of all the different startups and also of the founders. So I live a bit in an IT bubble, so sometimes I forget there is so much more out there, and I just love seeing that.
Yeah, we really have quite some diversity in these programs, I think, as a whole. And I especially love how we have people also from all the different geographic regions. It's also one of my favorite parts. So I'm just going to share my screen while everybody's coming back. All right, you all can see my screen now. Great. So I think by now you have a more concrete idea of what PGE incubation is all about. I mean, just through the sheer diversity of the founders of the companies, we're helping to bring these new forms of social enterprise into being. So I do hope that this will inspire you also to start your own PGE incubators, also, to integrate aspects of PGE incubation also into your current programs if you happen to be already working in the ecosystem. And of course, anyone who wants any additional information can feel free to reach out. So there's basically 2 more parts quickly of the program. The first is just that I'm going to share a feedback form because, of course, we're not going to let the founders have all the fun with the feedback forms. We also would very much like to get your feedback and input on this demo day. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a moment to with this feedback form to be able to fill this in. We really appreciate that. And please, when you're done filling out the form, do not leave because there will be time also to network and to socialize and to ask questions. Me and the cohort members will be hanging out for the next hour in the Zoom chat here. So if you have any burning questions, either for the founders or for me, you can stick around. And yeah, we'll be more than happy also to answer any questions that you might have. I'm also just going to open things up now just so we can have some time to network and to socialize. So we're going to be creating breakout rooms just to start out with. The way that we're going to do it is we're going to have one founder in each breakout room. Basically, if anyone has any questions for that particular founder, just feel free to go into the breakout room and ask the questions. And once the questions are all answered, then presumably the founders will come back into the main track, and then we can all just hang out together and have a little bit of a chat and some socializing for the next hour. So thank you again so much for joining. I very, very much appreciate the time, the energy, the enthusiasm of both the cohort members as well as all the wonderful visitors that joined us today. So thank you so much. We are going to be opening those breakout rooms now, I think. And the next thing that we're going to do is to, for the rest, we are going to finish up this program. So thanks again, and see you, I guess, in the breakout rooms, and just stick around if you want to chat any further. So thank you so much, everybody.